Start karo recording. Good morning, students. This is Vishnu Dev. Today we are going to have the second session of economics. That is, we are going to study about the various factors or determinants affecting demand. Now, obviously, we all know that there are certain factors which affect demand, and obviously demand is dependent on them. And the most important factor is price, because as the law of demand states that other things remaining the same, when the price of commodity increases, its demand decreases. So price is the most important factor. It shows an inverse relationship between. The second point is of income of the consumer. Now, income here means what? Income can be high or low, but income is something which is related to demand directly. Higher the income, higher will be the demand. Lower the income, lower will be the demand. But there are certain types of goods in which this relationship does not apply. Like, for example, there are normal goods also, and there are inferior goods also. Now, what are normal goods and what are inferior goods? I'm just going to give you a meaning of it. Normal goods are those goods, the demand for which increases with increase in income of the consumers and decreases with fall in income. Whereas inferior goods are those goods, the demand for which falls with increase in income of the consumer. So in case of normal goods, the demand and income relationship is direct, but in case of inferior goods, it is indirect. Why? So please pay attention to this. Normal goods are goods which are demanded by every strata of society, except those who are living below the poverty line. Now, why I'm emphasizing on this? Because there are people who are living below the poverty line who cannot afford to consume normal goods on a regular basis. So, under such circumstances, what they do? They demand inferior goods. Now, inferior goods can be taken as jowar and maize. The examples are given as coarse cereals. Please remember this word, cereals. So, coarse cereals are considered as inferior goods. And what happens as the income of a consumer increases, the demand for inferior goods will and normal goods will increase. That is why if we see the diagram of the inferior goods, the demand curve is backward bending slope. Backward bending slope. That means that up till the point a person earns a subsistence level of income. I'm again repeating my sentence. Up till the point a person is earning a subsistence level of income, that person will demand more of inferior goods and less of normal goods because he cannot afford. And after he starts earning above the subsistence level, then he will reduce the demand of inferior goods and start demanding more of normal goods. That is why the demand for inferior goods is backward bending sloping curve. Now, the second factor is complete. Now, the third factor is the consumer tastes and preferences. Obviously, this is a very simple point that tastes and preferences today plays an important role on demand. We see that in today's youth, they keep on changing their clothing styles. They keep on changing their mobiles because of the trend market. they follow the trend. And the trend means the taste and preferences keeps on changing every day, every month, every year. Production is done accordingly. New things come to the market, and obviously the demand for the older things reduces. Fourth point is the prices of related goods. Now, on this specific point, there has been a lot of questions which have been asked in the board exams also. That is, how does the price of related goods affect on demand? So first of all, students, we should know what are supplementary goods, what are substitute goods, and what are complementary goods. Now, substitute goods means that one good can be substituted for another. And complementary goods means they are demanded jointly. Now, for example, if we take tea and coffee, they are perfect substitutes of each other. And what happens when the price of tea increases without any change in the price of coffee? You will see when the price of tea increases, the demand of tea will decrease and the demand of coffee will increase. Why? Because people who were consuming tea will reduce the demand of consuming tea because of rise in price and switch over their demand to coffee. So there is a direct relationship in case of substitute goods between price of one good to the demand of another. Whereas in case of complementary goods, what happens that, like for example, car and petrol or car or diesel, a fuel is needed to run a car. If the price of car is increasing, obviously the demand of the car is going to reduce. And what will happen? The demand of petrol or diesel will also going to reduce. Because what happens? They are jointly demanded. They are complementary to each other. So in case of complementary goods, when the price of one commodity increases, the demand of the other commodity will reduce. So this is the relationship between price and demand in case of substitute goods and in case of complementary goods. The next point which we want to discuss is the consumer's expectations. Now, on this point, I don't need to tell you a lot that what is happening today. We are facing a world crisis today of a pandemic, and India has been facing lockdown for the past so many days. So before this lockdown occurred, what happened? The day it was announced, people started rushing to the market to buy goods because they were all skeptical about when this lockdown is going to close down or whether the lockdown is going to again increase for a certain period of time. So they started demanding more. And what happened in the market? The market, using this situation, started black marketing, hoarding of. So this happens in the market that people may buy certain commodities at a higher price during times of emergencies. So because of the expectation of rise, because of the expectation that the availability of goods will not be there in the future, people may demand at a higher price. The next point is consumer credit facilities. Obviously today, depending upon the consumer's repayment power, consumer credit facilities are given to the people. The salaried class are the most beneficial ones, obviously today, because today the salaried class people are given sufficient consumer credit to go for comforts and luxuries. Obviously, the rich class has the purchasing power, but now the middle class also can go for comforts and luxuries because of better consumer credit facilities available to the people. Next is demonstration effect. Again, students, this point is very important. Demonstration effect. First of all, you should know what is demonstration effect. It refers to the tendency of a person to emulate the consumption style of other persons, such as his friends or neighbors, etc. So this is happening a lot, that we try to emulate the consumption pattern of our neighbors or friends. And especially this happens in case of people who are consuming comforts and luxuries. Obviously, necessities are needed by everyone. It is the comforts and luxuries which decides the consumption pattern in the society, that which class of category of you belong. So if one of your friends has got a costly bike, obviously you will feel that yes, I should also have this bike, and you might demand from your parents for that. So that is what demonstration effect. So the demand of certain comforts and luxuries may increase in the market when the people emulate the consumption pattern of other people's or other consumers. Next is distribution of income. How can distribution of income be a factor affecting demand? Now, if the distribution of income is more towards the rich class, if there is unequal distribution of income, then obviously the rich will become richer and the poor will become poorer. But if there is equality in the distribution of income, then what happens? People will demand in a balanced way. But generally, what happens if you see in a developing economy like India, the distribution of income is not on an equal basis. And that is why people in this country are, some of them are demanding luxuries, some of them are demanding comforts, but there are certain people in the society who are not able to demand even the basic necessities of life. So it depends upon the distribution of income in the society, that what consumption you're going to make in the future, whether comforts or luxuries, more of luxuries, or you'll stick to necessities. Next is the climatic conditions. Now, what are climatic conditions? Climatic conditions obviously are very important. Season to season, you demand different types of commodities. Like during winters, you demand warm clothes, and during summer seasons, you demand cotton clothes. So, climatic conditions also decides upon the consumption pattern of a people, and it plays a